What's up, all you sports nerds out there? This is the Really Sophisticated Podcast, and I am John Carter. Joined here with me in the studio is my boy, Ryan Breadaway. Say what's up.
What's going on, everybody? Glad we could actually start this podcast without him messing up this time.
Yeah, this is like, what, take number 3?
Minimum.
We'll just blame the TISM on that one. We got new audio, and I hope it sounds better. We already sound better to ourselves, but we're also narcissists, so...
Well, I can hear you this time instead of just hearing myself, because there was way too much of me last time.
Yeah, that would be my own torture, is if I could only ever hear myself talk and, like, nobody around me.
Yeah, it was awful.
I can only imagine. We've got some fun stuff to talk about on this episode. First things first, let's go ahead and get the quote-unquote current events stuff taken care of. And then we'll go on to our topic. Today we're going to be talking about some of our favorite sports movies and even trying to narrow it down to a top 10, which has been one of the most difficult things. And I am the father of 2 toddlers, so I'm putting this above that.
I don't feel like you can really ever get all the movies down to 10.
Yeah, because
it's just not possible.
Even as we were running through all these, like we were missing some, and we were just like, oh man, like. But no, we're just gonna go with what we got.
There are some though. If you like certain movies, I lose all respect for you because those movies are just dumb.
Air Bud.
No. Air Bud's not on that list. Air Bud is phenomenal.
Okay, maybe the first one, but like the 10 that came after it.
Tell me you wouldn't want a dog that could play sports.
I just want my dog to not piss and shit in the house.
I'm just saying, if I could have a dog that was talented like that, screw everything else.
Okay. Well, let's get the current event stuff out of the way, and then we'll start talking about this, because this might actually be more than a 30-minute podcast. We don't know yet. We're winging it as we go. So, elephant in the room, number 4 overall draft pick for the Indianapolis Colts, our boy, Anthony Richardson, out for the season with season-ending shoulder surgery. Say that 5 times fast. You can't. I can't.
You'd have to write it down for you to be able to say it 5 times fast.
I have to write it down so that I can say it like 5 words a second.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It'll be fine. At least they're being smart with him instead of forcing him back out there like they did with Andrew Luck a few years ago. So,
yeah, that was a travesty. So, Anthony Richardson out. Looks like Gardner Minshew is going to be captaining the ship on that one. We've got some players out this week. Who do we have out this week?
Right tackle Braden Smith is out. Alec Pierce, I think I saw, was out. AR is obviously done for the season.
What about, what was it, Fryermuth?
Yeah, Fryermuth for the Pittsburgh Steelers got set down today. He re-aggravated his hamstring. Lots
of injury designations as far as questionable goes, but this is not that kind of podcast. Really quick, running into baseball, we're still in the championship series. I think last I saw, Houston was leading Texas, but... that may have changed tonight. I could pull up a sports app right here, but I'm sure as you're listening to this, it's probably already changed. Looks like Philadelphia is going to be going to the World Series. They're leading right now 2-1, and winning this game. So unless Arizona just rallies, it's looking like Philadelphia is probably going to the show, and then. Let's see. It probably helps if I write all this stuff down. Houston's currently leading 3-2. So, unless the Rangers, come from behind, looks like we're probably looking at a Philadelphia-Houston World Series, which in that case, I will be rooting for Philadelphia. I know you don't give a shit because it's baseball.
Yeah, baseball's awful.
Hockey season has started for those who care about hockey. I do. I'm not as involved as I used to be. So hockey season is upon us. We will try to get some more hockey current events in the beginning of the show moving forward. But for right now, hockey exists, but football also exists. So that's probably a little bit more importante to us. So
nothing matters but football.
Unless you're Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders said, football is my wife, baseball is my mistress. And that's kind of how I feel. Can't argue with Coach Prime.
No, not really. He's too good, and he played both and was phenomenal at both. So
yeah, I would argue he's one of the greatest of all time, just across the board, like not in a single sport, but that's a topic for another episode. Today, we're talking about movies. Man, this was hard. This was really hard. Trying to take every sports movie that's come out so far and try to narrow it down into a list that is supposed to be the all-time top 10. And it's just hard because like everything's subjective, right? Case in point, I'll just go ahead and say it. The Blind Side. If you would have asked me this, 4 months ago, I would have probably said it's in my top 5. But after everything that happened with Michael Oher in the real world, I look at that movie now through a pair of jaded glasses. Because I mean, Sandra Bullock is great in that movie. Don't get me wrong. Like that movie still makes me want to cry, and I'm a grown ass man.
And remember, it's just a movie. It's not a documentary. It was a movie.
I know.
Regardless how accurate everybody thought it was, it's a movie. Hollywood does Hollywood things. So nobody get mad at all the current actors and Sandra Bullock and all that. They won all these awards for it. It was a movie.
All right.
Michael Oher needs to stop crying and get over it. He still made millions of dollars playing as a tackle in the NFL. So
for like what, 5 different teams, but we won't go there.
Doesn't matter. Still millions of dollars.
He did better than I'll ever do.
Yep.
Thanks for the vote of confidence there, bud. I guess let's just go ahead and talk about what movies are not going to be on this list because everybody has those movies that are like, oh, this is the greatest movie. And every time I hear one in particular, I'm just like, no.
Don't take mine.
No, we agree on this one.
Oh, okay.
We absolutely agree on this one.
Rudy is the dumbest movie ever created.
Absolutely agreed.
Love Notre Dame, the school. Don't like that movie.
I would argue that it's a movie you should watch at least once in your life if you're a sports fan.
Why? So you learn how to get a participation trophy? Because that's all it was. He cried and whined, wasn't talented enough, wasn't big enough, wasn't strong enough, wasn't fast enough to ever be put on that football field. But he cried long enough to get his way, just like children do, and got put out there and did nothing.
Roll credits. Hear me out. Maybe Rudy is like the Lord of the Rings of the sports movies because they're like, we have to take this ring to Mount Mordor and we have to throw it in the eternal pit of lava, and you have 3 fucking movies that are all like 3 hours fucking long, and then all of a sudden they drop the ring in, fucking roll credits. That's Rudy, but with football.
I'll watch Lord of the Rings all day before I watch Rudy for an hour and a half.
The extended cuts?
Any of it. Doesn't matter.
Fair enough. Yeah, so I think we can both agree Rudy does not belong on this list. Any other? I mean, I've already said everything from like everything after Air Bud, but
nope, Air Bud was phenomenal. So
Air Bud,
we can nope, all of them. Just saying, who doesn't want a dog that can do anything that Air Bud did? You can't even get your dog to not pee or poop in the house. This dog can play basketball, football. It can do everything.
Now, if I could just get my wife to clean up after the dog, love you, babe.
I feel like you should explain that.
Okay. When Ryan and I decided we wanted to do a podcast, I was like, maybe I'll just do it solo or whatever. And I told my wife, so happy about it. And she's like, nobody's going to listen to it. And I'm like, not even you? And she's like, no, I have no interest in listening to your podcast. I have to listen to you all the time when you're at home. So I throw those little jabs at her. And so that, whenever she comes at me pissed off about something, related to the podcast, then I'll at least know that she listened.
I feel like you're safe.
Yeah, I don't think she's going to listen to this at all.
Unless somebody tells her that you're taking jabs at her all throughout the episode.
Yeah, so if you're friends with my wife, no, do not tell her, because I want this to be kind of the little inside joke of the podcast. Back to sports movies. Let's talk about some honorable mentions, things that didn't make the overall list, like our top 10, which technically I guess is my top 5 and Ryan's top 5, that we kind of blended together to make a top 10 list. And some of ours overlap, but I'll go ahead and say like one of my honorable mentions, For the Love of the Game.
It's not bad.
Yeah. But there's a stipulation to that. You have to cut out the sappy romantic love story that's entangled in it. And you can only watch when he's pitching on the mound and he, spoiler alert, pitches a perfect game. So if you haven't seen For the Love of the Game, it's basically, you have Kevin Costner. He's a pitcher, I think, for the Detroit Tigers, if I remember correctly. And he's in the process of pitching a perfect game. And as he's on the mound, he's thinking in his head to the girl that basically said it's either baseball or me, and he's like, well, I'm going to play baseball. So yeah, in between all of his mound visits, he's thinking about all of his time with her, all while pitching a perfect game. And if you just take out the sappy romance stuff, it's a really good movie. But I mean, it would only probably be like 30 to 45 minutes, which I mean, still would hold my attention. But yeah, I'll say that For the Love of the Game is definitely an honorable mention for me.
Unpopular opinion, possibly, but, and you can leave this movie exactly how it is. I've kind of always loved it, plus partially because the actor that was in the movie. The Game Plan with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson when he gets reunited with his daughter, that he's playing for like a CFL team or something like that.
Yeah, I remember watching that movie. I think I actually watched that movie on a pirated DVD over in Iraq. So FBI, if you're listening to this, please don't come get me for pirated material. I was serving our country valiantly. So, I think that should be considered.
Nope, I think that one's a great one. Little Giants.
Oh, with Rick Moranis and Ed O'Neill, a.k.a. Al Bundy.
Yes. Scored
7 touchdowns in one game, Polk High.
Yep, Little Giants. I feel like that one has to be on honorable mention.
That is a great movie. What about The Replacements?
That could be on your top 5.
That one almost made the top 5, but The Replacements.
I literally watched that one the other day.
It's such a great movie. Keanu Reeves. I mean, there are very few movies with Keanu Reeves in it that I'm like, this is not that great, but
that he doesn't kill people in.
Or time travels. But yeah, like, so The Replacements with Keanu Reeves, and what's the other one where he's the coach for the inner city baseball team? I can't think of it off the top of my head, but if you're listening to this and you know it, just drop us a line, a comment, something, let us know. And if I think about it sometime in the episode, I'll just blurt it out.
He won't. How about, and this is a new movie, and it's a sports movie, but not, called Air, about the whole backstory of Michael Jordan getting his shoe contract and all that, about his mom and his family and everything.
Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And Gloria Davis.
Yeah. Not really. It's about sports, but it's kind of the background behind it.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I watched part of it. For some reason, I put it away. I think it's on HBO Max or Amazon Prime, but I need to go back and watch that. Major League with Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen is phenomenal.
Winning.
He was always winning.
There were some others that we talked about beforehand. And of course, I can't remember what's on your top 5. So I don't really want to speak out.
How about The Rookie?
The Rookie with Dennis
Quaid?
Dennis Quaid, where he pitches. He's a high school
teacher slash coach.
Pitches, ends up getting accepted into a minor league team, goes to the major league, has a great game.
Like I said, there's too many movies to actually do all of them, but like there's some of them that you could show your kids 10 years down the road, and it's still going to hold up test of time.
Yeah. A League of Their Own.
Angels in the Outfield. There's so many different ones. Like we could
Field
literally
of Dreams.
We could literally that we could sit here and talk about these movies all day and just keep naming off sports movies for the next hour, and we're not going to get to the end of it. But there's a lot of good honorable mentions. I'm sure we missed some of the really good ones.
Oh, there's plenty out there, and this is something that we could always come back to and do another episode, because obviously taste in movie change as new movies come out, as we grow, and also I would say this, depending on what season it is, because right now, with it being the end of baseball, the start of football and hockey and stuff like that, I don't think I have any basketball movies on my list, just because basketball is not relevant right now.
Love and basketball.
White Man Can't Jump.
White Man Can't Jump.
which the remake actually was not bad. It didn't have the Woody Allen and was it Eddie Murphy?
Yes,
Yes.
I think so. I don't know.
It didn't have that chemistry, but it was still good. I liked it.
Well, and then, I mean, technically a sports movie, The Karate Kid.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Karate Kid.
Either one. The old one's better than the newer one.
See,
I did like the one with Will Smith's son.
Oh, that new one. I thought you were talking about the one with the girl, the next Karate Kid, where Mr. Miyagi goes and trains a girl to become a Karate Kid. Oh yeah.
I don't know if I saw that one.
It's called The Next Karate Kid. Do yourself a favor and erase the fact that I even mentioned it from your memory so that you don't get tempted to watch it some other time.
Nope. I'm going to go watch Daniel-san.
Karate Kid 1, obviously untouchable. Karate Kid 2 wasn't bad. Karate Kid 3 wasn't bad. Did you watch Cobra Kai?
I started it.
I think I got to season 3.
I started it. That's just in there because it took me forever to watch Game of Thrones. To even come around to the idea of watching Game of Thrones because it was just one of those that everybody was just talking about. I was like, nope, not doing it.
You didn't want to see all the wieners.
That's your job.
Meat gazer. All right, so are you ready to start the quote unquote official list? The unofficially official list?
Yep, go first. What's your number 5?
Goon with Sean William Scott. So Sean William Scott plays I forget the guy's first name, but his last name is Platt. It's based off a real person in the NHL. So he is just a small town guy that likes hockey. He goes to a minor league hockey game, ends up getting in a fight in the stands, and then becomes the minor league's new enforcer. And the gimmick is that he's not a strong skater, and he's kind of like me and doesn't really have the best attention when it comes to social cues. Really great movie. Sean William Scott playing a not so comedic role, not so much dramatic role, but kind of somewhere in between. I really thought it was a good movie, and it's got Jay Baruchel in it, which you may remember him from a lot of Seth Rogen's movies. He's also into the one that's She's Out of Your League. He's the guy that plays and She's Out of Your League.
You're not making me want to watch this movie at all, because just the movie Goon, it was like, all right, this is some NHL movie that nobody cares about. But I mean, I appreciate you like it.
I really do. It's a movie that I could watch over and over and over again. I have not seen the second one just because I've been told that it's nowhere near as good as the first one, which usually tracks when it comes to sequels with a few exceptions. But I have not seen Goon 2. Rise of the Enforcers, I think is what it's called. But yeah, so that's mine. That's my number 5 is Goon. If you don't like it, then
join the club.
Yeah.
My number 5, and it can be, it's more of a series of movies.
Okay.
Rocky. You cannot deny any of them. Don't care which one. Love them all.
Okay. All right. Which Rocky?
Any of them. Doesn't matter. Still better than Goon.
Okay. But I actually have an answer to this.
Which one is your favorite?
Rocky 3.
Is that one where he fights Apollo Creed?
No, that's the one where he fights Mr. T.
All right, that's fair. But any of them. I like all of them, to be honest. Like, I don't have a favorite one. Because also, like, the spinoff of Rocky, the whole Creed movies with Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, and I actually liked Rocky Balboa. I thought Rocky Balboa was really good.
Yeah, I like I said, just that's like
the alternate ending to Rocky Balboa was better.
You could just lump all the Rocky movies,
and it's so iconic too. I mean, they made a fucking statue for the guy. A fictional character has a statue
in Philadelphia.
And the only other person that I can think off the top of my head that is a fictional character that has a statue is fucking James T. Kirk from Star Trek. They put a statue of him somewhere in Iowa because that's where the character James T. Kirk was born, was somewhere in Iowa. And I'm like, so Rocky has a statue, which I would argue is way better than William Shatner.
Well, I mean, if we're just talking about America, you're probably right. But I mean, over in Japan, they have like statues of Goku and Pikachu and all this other stuff that Japan created. So
yeah, but Japan also is like
they do things.
You can get an entire meal from a vending machine, and I'm not talking about like Cheetos and fucking soda pop. I'm talking like a legit full scale meal out of a vending machine in Japan.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would like to visit, but go to your number 4.
Okay. So my number 4, we're just going to call this number 8 overall, since it's a quote unquote top 10 list. Brewster's Millions. Have you ever seen Brewster's Millions?
Never even heard of it.
Okay. So again, another one that's on my list that
you're showing your age, by the way.
Yeah. There's a 7-year difference between us, I think. I don't math. So,
well, you just currently had a birthday, so take off of whatever it was before.
Oh shit, there's an 8-year difference. Okay, my bad. Again, I can't math. Brewster's Millions, Richard Pryor, John Candy. Richard Pryor is a pitcher for the Chicago Cubs minor league team. And, he has this long lost uncle, like 3 times removed, that was a millionaire who dies, and Richard Pryor's character, Montgomery Brewster, just so happens to be the only surviving relative. I mean, if you look at it on the premise, it's starting to sound like one of those like Nigerian prince like identity theft schemes. But the premise is he has to do this little competition, whatever you want to call it, where he has to spend $30 million in 30 days. He can't own any assets. And if he spends all $30 million and has no money left except for the clothes on his back, he inherits $300 million. So the entire movie is Richard Pryor. There's a whole scene where he hires the New York Yankees to play a baseball game against his minor league team. It's phenomenal. It's funny. Richard Pryor is a genius. Rest in peace. So yeah, Brewster's Millions will always be up there with me. In the non-sports category, it's kind of in the same arena as Coming to America and Trading Places and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely Brewster's Millions. I think it came out in the late 80s or early 90s. Phenomenal movie. If you've never seen it, go watch it. You will not be disappointed, unless you're Ryan, because it's a baseball movie and Ryan hates baseball.
I don't hate baseball. I've watched Angels in the Outfield. I've watched a couple other baseball movies. Didn't hate them. Just baseball as a sport is usually way too slow for me to watch on TV. I'd rather watch golf. Golf is more entertaining than baseball on TV.
I will say, with the exception of the playoffs, baseball is one of those things where it's better to watch in person than to watch on TV.
Fair enough.
All right. So you're now number 7, aka you're number 4.
It's hard because there's going to be too many of this that I feel like I've left out as not honorable mentions or anything. But The Longest Yard.
Which one?
I like the newer one with Adam Sandler because I like Adam Sandler more.
So Ryan has seen both. I've only seen the one with Adam Sandler and Burt Reynolds. The older movie is Burt Reynolds playing the role that Adam Sandler would later play in the remake.
Yes.
So which one?
I like the Adam Sandler one because Burt Reynolds is still in it and I love Chris Rock. The older one's okay, but I like the remake a little bit better. And that rarely happens.
What is the guy's name that's like, why do you get to be quarterback? Why can't I be quarterback? You want to be quarterback? And then Adam Sandler throws in the ball and he just like chucks it. And
talking about Brucey?
Brucey, that's it. Brucey.
We all have a Brucey in our lives.
I'm your Brucey.
That's fair.
Okay.
We'll see if you can play quarterback later.
That sounded so sexual, and I liked it. Let's see here. Am I next? Do you want to touch on any more of The Longest Yard?
I'll hit the last honorable mention. If you don't know what The Longest Yard is, there's something wrong.
Okay, fair enough. If you're listening to this podcast,
you're the one mentioning movies that nobody has ever heard of and showing your age. So,
but they're good movies.
Debatable.
Well, then how about this? So my number 3, aka number 6 overall, Talladega Nights.
All right, glad you mentioned it, so I didn't have to. Yep, totally agree.
And
if you're not first, you're last.
If you're not first, you're last. And
so technically, that should have been number 1 on your list.
Oh, yeah, no. There's a movie that's better on that list, but I will say Talladega Nights is definitely up there for me. It's up there with and again, quoting another Will Ferrell movie, it's up there with Step Brothers. It's up there with Old School. Just those movies where I can just turn it on and laugh and just enjoy a silly, I'm not going to call it stupid, but it is. It's a silly, stupid movie because the only people that exist like Ricky Bobby in real life would probably never be as successful as he was, because they would have probably killed themselves back when they were like 13 years old doing something stupid, not because, they unalive themselves on purpose.
6 pound, 4 ounce baby Jesus.
I like to think that he's wearing a tuxedo t-shirt that says, "I'm formal, but I'm also here to party."
Slingshot engaged. There's too many good... Will Ferrell makes too many good quotable movies.
He does.
They're phenomenal.
Yeah. And Talladega Nights is definitely up there for me as a... and if you want to get into the argument that NASCAR is not a sport, it's a motorsport. So I count it as a sport.
I'd like to see anybody that calls it not a sport go drive around in a car for 3 hours at that speed.
My ass would get so numb.
I mean, those people are in phenomenal shape. Anybody that does that are in phenomenal shape.
Look, they don't take bathroom breaks, and anytime we go on a road trip, I at least have to stop.
They definitely take bathroom breaks.
Well, okay, so they pee on themselves, but they don't physically get out of the car. They pee in a diaper or a catheter or I don't know. I'm obviously not a NASCAR driver, so I'm not intimate with these things, but they pee themselves, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
All right, moving on. My number 3, Tin Cup with Kevin Costner.
That's a gem right there.
Well, like I said,
Cheech Marin in that movie is also great.
Yes, but there's too many sports movies to name, but Tin Cup, just iconic. Once again, you could watch it today. Never will go out of style.
No, the ending is perfect in that movie.
And Kevin Costner's phenomenal.
Lots of Kevin Costner movies have come up. He plays in...
He is in too many good sports movies.
He is. Another good one with Kevin Costner, honorable mention, doesn't count towards this list, Bull Durham.
Not bad. I'll agree.
All right, so number 4 on the top 10, number 2 on my list, Remember the Titans. Good old Denzel.
Love the Remember the Titans movie.
It had such a great cast. You had Ethan Suplee, which, by the way, somebody that I'm using for motivation for me to lose weight. Because if you see the shape that Ethan Suplee is in now compared to when he was a younger actor playing on Boy Meets World and Remember the Titans and all that, he was this big pudgy guy. And now if you look at him, holy crap, he looks like the Hulk.
Yeah, Remember the Titans is also, it's more than a sports movie, so that's what makes it great.
Yes.
It teaches you a lot of life lessons, and it's just an interesting movie. I love it. Glad you mentioned it. It was definitely on my list. So you can't go better than Remember the Titans.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's classic.
What am I at? My number
You're
3?
on your number 2, which is number 3 overall.
We Are Marshall.
Such a great film. Matthew McConaughey. Such a great film.
All right. Love it.
So
also based on a true story.
And those who don't know the true story, the Marshall football team, they were traveling to an away game via airplane, and the airplane crashed, killed, I think, everybody aboard. I don't think there were any survivors. And then Matthew McConaughey's character plays the coach that took over, and basically he has to rebuild the entire Marshall football program so that they can continue to play football. And it's an absolutely phenomenal movie. It's a tearjerker. I'm a sucker for movies like that, especially when sports are involved, just because I get so emotional with sports. But yeah, fantastic movie, hands down. That was a good call. Well, We Are Marshall.
I kind of have a 2B because there's a couple movies like I can't rank any higher, and Radio also kind of same.
Yes, my wife and I talked about that.
Radio was just another life learning. It's kind of like the Remember the Titans. There was a lot of life lessons. Loved everything about it. Had sports in it.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good call.
I just couldn't pass it up without giving that a shout because love that movie. That's another one I could turn on today and still watch.
All right, so here's my number one. We're going to call it number 2 overall. Phenomenal movie. Jonah Hill and Brad Pitt. Moneyball. It's not heavy on the sports. It's more so heavy like on what takes place in the back office. Like with team building and trading and scouting and stuff like that. And I would take Moneyball over a movie like Trouble with the Curve or anything like that, despite the fact that Trouble with the Curve has Clint Eastwood in it, who is he is a man's man.
It's not a bad movie. That kind of reminds me of the movie Draft Day.
Draft Day was good. That's another Kevin Costner movie.
Yes.
So it tracks. It tracks. Kevin Costner may in fact be the best actor in a sports movie.
He is the best actor in sports movies. Like I just feel like it's a fact.
Hang on. Let's time out real quick here. Fuck me. Let's time out real quick here. Field of Dreams,
Tin Cup,
Draft Day, Bull Durham, For the Love of the Game.
Kevin Costner is literally in so many sports movies, but he's the perfect actor to play in all of them.
Yeah. All right. So you're number 1.
And my wife will promise that I have watched this probably 100 times, own it on digital to this day.
I've come over to your house and at least seen it on 3 times.
So the number 1 movie, and it is the number 1 movie on my list. Don't matter if it's on yours because it's number 1 overall. Cool Runnings.
Yes.
That is the greatest movie ever produced. I have watched it probably 100 times. It's up there with Top Gun.
If it were a VHS tape, you would have probably been on your 3rd one by now because you wore the other 2 out.
Well, when I became an adult and I bought it on digital, so it'll never disappear.
We hope.
Nope, never disappear. Cool Runnings, number 1. Like I said, I had other honorable mentions. That literally is one of my favorite movies of all time. Like Mike, also honorable mention. Loved it.
Basketball.
It's a good honorable mention. How about Coach Carter?
Coach Carter was good. Samuel L. Jackson.
Yep. I think that's a great honorable mention. Like I said, there's so many, and I haven't seen this one yet. American Underdog with Kurt Warner's story.
Yes, that is on my to watch list.
I know Kurt Warner's story, so I'm really interested in watching that movie. And then another one that's real influential for me is 42, the story about Jackie Robinson.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Gridiron Gang. Also Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yes.
Phenomenal.
Also a good movie.
There's just too many.
There really are. We could come up with another more refined list.
Yeah, we left off the Mighty Ducks.
Such a good one. And the show that they came out with on Disney Plus wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but they at least brought back almost all of the original Mighty Ducks, minus the kid who played Charlie and Goldberg, because obviously Goldberg was effed up on meth. Yeah, they brought him back, and it had Emilio Estevez. It had all the original characters. And then the second season, they replaced Emilio Estevez with Timothy Oliphant or Josh Duhamel. I can't remember. They both look alike, and if you don't believe me, fucking look at them side by side.
You know, I am disappointed in both of us. We forgot one of the most important sports movies of all time on this list.
Okay.
We forgot Space Jam. How did we forget Michael Jordan playing the most important basketball game of his career to save the universe from aliens?
Come on and slam if you want to jam.
I'm just saying, how did we forget Michael Jordan and the Looney Tunes playing basketball?
How did we forget Bill Murray?
Yeah, he was the winner of that whole game.
Yes.
Like, Bill Murray won us the game. But, no, how did we both forget Space Jam. That one's, I'm disappointed. We forgot Happy Gilmore. Once again, jackass.
Oh, God, dude.
You
we
will not make
failed
this putt.
so horribly at this.
No, like I said, I like so many different sports movies. Kevin Costner happens to be in a lot of them.
Yes.
But like Adam Sandler also in a lot of sports movies, it seems like, that I care about, or I just like a lot of Adam Sandler movies.
Adam Sandler was what? Longest Yard, Waterboy, Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, we didn't mention Waterboy either.
I like Vicky, she likes me. She showed me her boobies, and I like them too.
Great sports movie. Also thrown in there with, like, you could throw it in the same 2C, 1B, doesn't matter. I loved Happy Gilmore. Loved that movie as well.
We did not mention Caddyshack.
Yeah, like I said, another one.
The greatest game ever played with Shia LaBeouf. One of the few movies that I actually liked watching with Shia LaBeouf.
I mentioned Tin Cup.
Okay, fair enough.
I was in that realm.
I mean, out of all three, it is the better of the golf movies.
It is, I don't know.
It's better than Bagger Vance.
I don't know if it's better than Caddyshack, but it has Bill Murray. Bill Murray is still undefeated to this day.
It had Chevy Chase.
Exactly. So I'm just saying Caddyshack is kind of up there with Tin Cup because I've seen it a bunch as well. But I don't know. There, like I said, too many sports movies. We get lost in the lists.
We're going to keep talking about this after this episode, I'm sure.
Now, I'm not watching the movies you told me I need to watch. They're old. Not important.
Fuck you.
Not important.
All right, so I guess we're going to wrap up the whole movie thing. But if you follow us on Spotify, there is a Q&A section. We'll drop down in there. This week's question for the Spotify Q&A would be, what is your favorite sports movie? Can be anything. Don't have to give us an explanation, but just let us know, what is your favorite sports movie? And if you don't really have one, go out and watch one and then just say it's that. We don't care. But we do care what you think about this podcast. So if you are following us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any of the other platforms that this gets streamed out to, make sure to drop us a 5-star review. And if you don't want to drop us a 5-star review, then drop us a 5-star review anyways.
And it's John's fault.
Yeah, you can say 5 stars, but you guys suck. We'll be fine with that. Just, drop a 5-star review. Social media, we'll hit that up real quick. If you want to follow us on the Instagram, at Rarely Sophisticated. If you want to follow us on, I'm still going to call it Twitter. I refuse to call it X, whatever. But if you want to follow us on that platform where, you make the tweets, you can follow us at RS Podcast X. That is at RS Podcast X. RS Podcast was taken. Rarely Sophisticated. It's too long. Elon Musk. Please fix that. But those are the two socials that we're on right now. If you want to email us questions or episode ideas, send it to rarelysophisticated@gmail.com. We'd love to know what you think. And if it's the bad stuff, then we'll think about it.
Hey, quick game update. Arizona Diamondbacks and the Phillies are tied.
Oh,
series tied.
Wow.
And I don't even like baseball.
Hang on, wait. The series is tied or the game is tied?
Series.
Wow.
Series is tied.
Wow. Okay.
As of 14 minutes ago.
And this is why I love baseball, because things can change in an instant. Going back, if you want to follow us, if you enjoyed the show, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast. Join us Mondays at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Central. We drop weekly episodes. Try to stay within 30 minutes. I think we went a lot of bit over on this one, but that's okay, because eventually we would like to get into longer form podcasts. But yeah, that's all I got on this one. Anything else you want to say?
Not at all.
All right. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.